So what we've decided in response to the Oversight Board's judgment, which they published a month ago, where they said very clearly, this independent panel of very distinguished folk, they said very clearly two things, in effect. They said that we were right, Facebook was right, and within our rights to suspend Donald Trump because of the sheer gravity of what happened on January the 6th. Namely, he was praising people who were committing acts of violence, which led to 5 deaths, which led to, Donald Trump's own vice president, who was, in the Capitol, there to certify the outcome of the election, cowering for his life, that we were right in those exceptional circumstances to suspend him. But here's the big but that we were wrong to do so indefinitely and without any clear due process and set of standards governing the penalty that we applied. And so what we have decided is the following, that we have now developed a set of penalties, what we call in the jargon an enforcement protocol, for these very rare occasions, and I hope they will remain very, very rare, where prominent public figures, government leaders, politicians and others are using their presence on our platform to actively praise and foment violence while that violence is still ongoing. I think candidly, we never foresaw that we would need an enforcement protocol to lay out penalties for that situation. We've now done so, and we're publishing a scale of penalties ranging from suspension for 1 month up to the most serious penalty for the most egregious violations, which is a suspension from our services for 2 years. And we think the circumstances of January, the deaths, the disruption, clearly the attempt to hijack and interrupt the peaceful transfer of power after a democratic election, we think that the events in early January justify the imposition of the highest tier of penalty. So we are suspending Donald Trump for 2 years from Facebook's apps. The start date of that starts from the point at which the violation occurred in January, so through till the very beginning of 2023. And we think that's justified because of the gravity of what happened in January. We hope that it strikes the right balance between the proportionality of that penalty, reflecting the gravity of the violation, the deterrence, that it will deter him and indeed anyone else to, in similar situations, of doing something similar on our platforms, but also not permanently removing his ability to express himself on our services going forward, which is a choice which other social media companies have taken. We feel that would be not something that we choose to do in this instance. So we're trying to strike the balance between those different pressures. I'm acutely aware that with everything to do with Donald Trump and perhaps to do with US politics at the moment, anything we do in this space is going to be criticized from, on the one hand, people who think that Donald Trump should never be allowed back on social media, on Facebook, and others who believe he should be back on from next Tuesday. What we are trying to do, which is our duty, and it's my duty as, in a sense, the person who has to lead on this within Facebook, is to set out, as we do in great detail, what that enforcement protocol is, why we think it is fair, proportionate, and how we intend to apply it in a consistent way going forward. The only other thing I should add is that we will, because I think many people will say, well, hang on a minute, what happens in 2 years' time if Donald Trump comes back on Facebook and just tries to do it all over again? So we're accompanying this announcement with a clear ladder of sanctions up to and including, in the most extreme cases, permanent removal from Facebook, such that when he returns to Facebook, there are clear sanctions which will apply rapidly if he or indeed anybody else seeks to try and repeat these violations. So that's our approach. It's one which we've devoted a lot of thought to and obviously invested a lot of time in. And obviously we have sought to act as sort of faithfully and in as considered a fashion to the comments and criticisms and recommendations that were made by the Oversight Board.